Good afternoon. Hello, hello. It is Brian Mitchell, or B. Mitch. I lead our media and entertainment practice in Nutanix Unified Storage. Welcome, welcome. So today's topic is leveling up with legends, how Square Enix storage transformation worked with Nutanix Unified Storage. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today, but first things first, I want to introduce you to who is Square and why does it matter? Has anyone ever played any of these games? Final Fantasy, maybe, different titles, right? Any console, right? PC included as well. Very nice. Anybody ever heard of this game? Pretty famous. There you go. Yeah, I got a few nods in the audience. Good. You know, my son loves this game, particularly with the Disney references. Just love it. Great game. And then finally, has anyone ever visited the Square websites or the portals? You may have an account, in fact. If you've done any of these things, you have actually been working with Nutanix Unified Storage, right? Welcome. Let's walk through their office, both in Tokyo, as well as London, and even LA. This is actually in Tokyo. It's very nice, quite a large office. Actually, the Pong machine of all things is there. Funny side note, if you're not familiar with this, they actually built the very old 80s game, Space Invaders as well. You know, one of the challenges that Square had was how do we, build the best games and, make most people the happiest, right? That's literally their mission statement, right? And when you start to, walk through their office, you can clearly tell it's very apparent. Everything from the coffee machines to the posters and the boards in the back. Just amazing office, amazing location. They really get the community, the gaming community. They really get the players. It's all about that player experience. So, what was their challenge? They're very direct. They say, how do we deliver more enjoyable gameplay? Serious. A lot of times people, get caught up in, what about this feature or that feature, right? Speeds and feeds. Other cases, they get caught up in, certain aspects of gameplay. Not them. They're very simple, where they say, look, we just want to have the most enjoyable gameplay in the business. When you start to dig under covers, their tech stack, you'll start to see quite a few items. Number one, the physical data centers. 4 physical data centers, both here in the States, California to be exact, as well as Asia and South Pacific, and of course, Europe. 12,000 servers, massive server farm located around the globe. When we start to talk with them, one of their challenges was, look, we want to serve all the websites during launch days, these heavy traffic launch days for their titles. So what do? They persist a lot of this data through a database called MySQL. Hopefully a few people have heard of it. It's an open source database that allows you to run copies between different data centers throughout the world. Of course, this entire time they said, Brian, we need to be able to work on lots and lots of concurrent projects. We're talking about 100 plus projects at any given moment. So again, a lot of workflows, a lot of development in their pipeline. Here's an actual example of their data centers. This is actually a screenshot I took recently. As you can see, North America, Europe, Japan, and Oceania. Why is this important? Because check this out. Again, if you're not a gamer, no big deal. I can sympathize for you. You can actually traverse data centers in the game of Final Fantasy. I'm not kidding. How crazy is that? Not just worlds or other things, but data centers. Amazing. fact, I pulled this from public documentation of Final Fantasy. Notice how if you create your account, say in North America, you can move to different regions, say Oceania, and come back, right? But within those data centers, they call them, or worlds, there's these sub-worlds or sub-data centers. They actually logically partition them out. So they have all sorts of fanciful names, right? You can see that it's pretty small font. One of the challenges has been is how do we start to logically separate out the different domains or these sub databases? So if you look at if you actually look at their content and their tech stack, you'll find that it's pretty normal, right? Let's start from the top and work our way down. At the top, the applications team works with various server applications that talk to clients. Yes, in case you're wondering, a client is literally a PlayStation, a Xbox, a Nintendo Switch, right? PC as well. You get the point. Then, as you start to work your way through the stack, you'll see that what they call the social game infrastructure group or SIG group actually manages the middleware, the infrastructure, etc. This middleware includes everything from their web caching and web serving environment all the way through their Grafana virtualization or visualization. It even includes some of their MySQL database for persisting, say, player profiles. Maybe it's some sort of scoring. Now, one of the other challenges is they were coming off of a legacy NAS system, network attached storage. They had a lot of hosts, right? And they manage a lot of this through Kubernetes as well, that container system that lives inside of those virtual machines. Why is all this important? Because when you start to build at this scale, you'll find out that there's a lot of operational costs associated with this, right? A lot of people say, oh, it's easy. I'm just going to spin up a bunch of servers, storage, call it a day. No way. If you're looking at this going, hey, how do I manage 800,000 transactions per second? 800,000 across 4 data centers worldwide. Pretty big deal. Or, hey, what about this? I'm generating for each project, a project is basically a game title, 6 gigabits, okay? Uppercase G, lowercase b, 6 gigabits per user with, that one project, Final Fantasy. Again, if you're looking at Kingdom Hearts and other projects, these are all distributed around the globe, 24/7. You can easily tell that we're talking about hundreds of gigabits per second. Now, if I dig into this stack a little more, they said, look, Brian, this player experience isn't where it needs to be. They said, we've got some challenges with the existing storage infrastructure. Number one, we have a lot of lock-in, right? Very inflexible to license this stuff. When they want to move from one data center to another, when they want to, spin this up in another location. Not easy at all. Next challenge they had. They wanted to scale out. We're not just talking about, a few data centers, but within those data centers, multiple machines that produce lots of I/O, lots of throughput. How do we sit there and say, I want failover, fail back. I don't want controller pairs. I want a true scale out technology. Very difficult. Their existing storage system also ran into some other challenges too. This is the all or nothing. I call it the Big Bang upgrade. A lot of times they would say, wait, you mean we can't upgrade without impacting our containers or Kubernetes? We can't upgrade without impacting our database persistence or those MySQLs? No, absolutely not. They would actually have to schedule downtime in certain regions, certain data centers, and fail things over. This created a very unpleasant player experience. So applications being impacted, both server side and client side. And finally, I call this the big kahuna. What happens if something goes offline? Whoops, a controller failed. Oh man, what if I had a disk failure, multiple disk failures? Then what happens? Literally, they told us that half the storage and compute providing access to those disks and that storage would become unavailable, inoperable. This is something that they felt like was just unacceptable, and they couldn't continue building, releasing new titles, whether it's Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts, without upgrading their infrastructure. So they also showed me this screenshot as well. This is something that was just mind-numbing, right? I still have a headache, trying to wrap my brain around some of this. If you actually look at this, their old controller setup, their old storage setup, there's a bunch of disks at the bottom. You'll see there's RAID groups and this pool of storage with volumes layered on top of it, volumes after volume groups, right? And then eventually you'll get to the part where it actually talks to the Kubernetes containers, the databases, the applications, right? Via NFS or SMB typically. Again, I'm scratching my head, got a headache, and I didn't even have an after party last night here in Vegas. So what was our solution? So a lot of times people say, look, Brian, I want something that meets these three criteria: speed, scale, and efficiency. So when I look at speed, right, I'm looking at the ability to, whether it's, speeding 8K workflows. If I'm looking at scale, I want to scale my ProRes 422 to quad 4. Oh, and by the way, I want to do that at petabyte, even exabyte scale. Finally, the solution here is I look at this and go, I want to be able to run this most efficiently as well. So let's walk through how we brought in the solution. Number one, this is unified storage, gang. This means that all of their applications on the server side can run different protocols. These protocols, such as files, objects, even volumes, work well with their applications. All these applications don't talk well at all. In a typical game pipeline, they're often, duct tape and glued together, as I call it. The other challenge they had was, look, if I bring in new hardware, what if I go from Gen 10 to Gen 11? Will that work? Will I be able to upgrade? Oh, what about the ability to run in different modes? They were quite intrigued when they said, wait, you can deploy as a dedicated cluster or run in a hyper-converged cluster where literally the applications and the storage run alongside each other. Zero hop, we call it. So they were really pleased with the fact that not only their game designers, their artists, their tools, even visual effects and security team was able to handle these workloads on a single cluster. They also found that edge, core, cloud doesn't matter, right? It's 100% software based, running with, object, file, and block. In fact, they told us, look, once we deployed Nutanix Unified Storage, we were able to immediately see 15 to 20% cost savings. That's very, very typical, we find. In fact, we actually do ROI analysis. Some of these ROI numbers are mind-blowing. 421% 5-year ROI, 63% reduction in operational costs. And get this, 10-month payback period, right? These guys definitely experienced that with unified storage. In fact, they said, look, we love you guys so much. We want to be able to standardize our test dev pipeline, all the various applications being generated with NVIDIA GPUs, of course, the hypervisor, as well as the thin clients. In fact, they actually told us a lot of these applications, whether it's from Autodesk whether it's from Adobe, Unreal Engine, even NVIDIA, worked perfectly fine. In fact, they were faster than their existing infrastructure, compute, storage, etc. Here's a few photos they sent to me. This is actually out of their LA and Tokyo locations. This game designer is actually building some of the frames, doing some VFX or visual effects work with Final Fantasy. On the left there, you'll also find that another one is doing more of the game design, right? So there's a lot of really interesting pipeline dev work between actions, between character rigging, et cetera, et cetera. Then finally, on the right is sound design. They take a lot of pride in the fact that the sound is high quality, top-notch design. So what was their outcome? End of day, what's the business outcome here? Number one, they told us, look, a large number of people play our games. We cannot do anything else with our existing setup, storage, compute, containers, etc. We needed a new path. And that's what management agreed to. They said, look, I love the fact that Nutanix is more than just a product. It allows me to do things I couldn't do with support. It also allows me to be able to scale, to run faster. And finally, it even allows me to run more secure with micro-segmentation, east-west traffic. Bottom line, gang, these are the lessons learned from Square Enix, our customer of Nutanix Unified Storage. Thank you, and have a great show, everybody.